Oh, forgot my mouse. 1 second. Alrighty. What's going on, man? Happy Monday. Hope everybody's having a good start to their day. So right now I'm just doing like some updates. So what I'm doing differently now is one thing I said I'm gonna start getting better at is just being consistent. I haven't been as consistent as I would like. 'Cause that's just the way things have been for me lately. So, but I'm just getting signed in here, just working on stuff. Can I edit on this right here? All right, cool. So something I've been working on doing a lot more, man, is just really focusing on being consistent. I haven't been as consistent as I know I truly can be. There's been a few moments where I just haven't been as consistent as I normally am, and it's mostly because I just haven't been focused. I haven't been focused. I haven't been making it be a priority. So in these situations where you're conscious and you're aware of like why you're not being consistent, why it feels like life is stagnant and slow, you have to ask yourself a couple things. So first thing is you need to figure out the why. Why do you feel like you can't be consistent? I know for me, it was a matter of making sure I'm going to bed early. You have to be able to dissect these. You have to be able to break down. The reason why I haven't been able to go to bed earlier is because I'm not prepared before the next morning. Like the next morning, what I like to do is let me just wind it back real quick. So my thing was that I'll get off work late, and normally I'll try to go to the gym before work. I start work at like 9:30, so I'll be trying to get up at like 5 a.m. What tends to happen is if I don't have my laundry done, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting off work 8:30, 9 o'clock. It usually takes me like an hour to wind down, but instead of doing my laundry, I'll come home, jump in the shower, and I'll chill and play the game. And what the problem with that was is that when to my job is like about 18 minutes. It's really a 12-minute drive, but you factor in traffic and stuff. That 12-minute drive easily turns into like 20 minutes. The population where I live at here in Colorado has doubled, like significantly. So I'm getting off work, I'm coming home, I'm chilling. If I'm not working on content, I'm either gaming. If I'm not gaming, I'm watching YouTube videos. But what causes it to be an issue is when I have that little bit of time when I get off work, maybe I had a stressful day, so maybe I'm burnt out, I'm tired. I don't get my stuff ready for work the next day. So what this leads to is me getting up in the morning feeling rushed. I used to get up early in the morning. Like if I'm trying to get up if I have work at 9:30, I want to be on the road by like 9 o'clock because of traffic. And I'll be waking up at like sometimes I might sleep in, wake up at like 7 a.m. Not really meaning to, because I've been a big person of like I don't like rushing. I can't stand rushing, man. But the problem is that I don't like rushing, but I'm not setting my environment up to help me not rush. And what I was doing was that I didn't have my clothes ready. I didn't have my lunch ready for the week. So this led into a cycle of me having rushed mornings. And when my morning is rushed, I don't get a chance to have like my workout routine and stuff set in place because I ate up so much mental time in the morning. Because usually I'll prep my gym bag, throw it in the trunk, hit the gym. But one, I stayed up too late, and then two, I didn't prep anything the night before. So this led me to be caught in this constant cycle because the little window of time that I had available to me, which was when I got off work. Sometimes I'll get off work at a good time. We close at 8:30 is a closing shift. Sometimes I'll get out of work by like 8:20 at night. So between from 8:20, I get home around like maybe 9:40. I mean 8:40. It's about 20 minutes, sometimes quicker than that. So that means from the time I get home from 9 to about 10:30, 11, I have time to prep my food, prep my lunch. I'm saying? Hello there. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate the hearts. Why is it not showing me that somebody? Why does it default to that? I don't know why it does that, but hello, welcome to the live. Appreciate you coming through. Um, so yeah, what end up happening is that I'll mess around and just come home chilling, not really being accountable. And that's something I've been trying to teach people how to do, man. You got to be more accountable. I'm watching, bro. Hey, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. Hope all is well. Hope you had a good fourth. Um, so ultimately, what it did was it'll become this pattern. And the reason why I let it get bigger than what it really was is because I wasn't holding myself accountable. If I'm getting off work, and every times where I get off work at a good time, so I really have almost like a little bit under 2.5 hours, something like that, and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm chilling. I'm gaming. If I'm not gaming, I'm working on content. And even if then, it's not a lot of content. I'm not making videos. I might edit my SEO, maybe change a couple titles, but I'm not doing anything that's really of substance. And what happens is that when you get in this pattern of not holding yourself accountable, when you get in this pattern of not doing what you're supposed to do, the distractions, they become easier because the distractions become normal. If you ain't got your clothes set out the night before to go to the gym, you ain't got your gym bag set up. That way you can just get up and have a smooth sailing morning, get your food in, get your water, head straight to the gym, and you have to stay later at work, which just happened to me a couple of times. So that little extra time that I have when I'm at home chilling after work or anything like that, and this can be for you too. Everybody always has pockets of time where if they're disciplined and they're willing to be self-accountable, everybody has pockets of time throughout the day to do what they're supposed to do. They set them up for success. That's a big thing. Because there's 24 hours in a day. There's a quote by Jeff Lowe's, and what he said was, "How you do everything, how you do one thing is how you do everything." So you should have greatness in everything you do. That doesn't mean sit there and obsess over it. That doesn't mean go crazy and try to go above and beyond. All it is just the small, I like to call them daily deposits. What are the small daily deposits you're doing on a day-to-day basis that are helping you push the needle, that are helping you get ahead? And this can be applied to anything. Let's say, for example, you're in school. You're going to spend at least 30 minutes to an hour a day studying, working on your courses, doing an exam, whatever it is. That's your daily deposit. And you think of it from compound interest. It builds, man. That little bit, that builds over time. But a lot of people don't get that far because they don't have enough self-awareness and the ability to track things. I'm a big believer in tracking. Literally, I got my calendar at home in my space where I get a Sharpie and I'm marking off days. Just something as a visual reminder in my head to let me know, like, hey, we've been going hard for this amount of days. Let's not fuck it up. You know what I mean? And you got to give yourself some kind of visual that you could stick to and lean on, because what this does, it gives you an anchor point, man. When you have something that you could see visually and stick to it, it gives you an anchor. So whenever life gets difficult, whenever you feel lazy, whenever you don't feel determined, whatever it may be, you have that visual representation to let you know, hey man, I'm making mad progress right now. I've been going hard for 5 days. And you start thinking like, damn, what was it I was doing that got me to 5 days? I was being disciplined. I was holding myself accountable. You know what I mean? I was saying no when I needed to say no. I spend less time watching Netflix. I spend less time hanging out with my friends. And these are also parts of your daily deposits. What you do on a day-to-day basis every day is what's going to dictate the outcome of your success down the road. And a lot of times you got to have this gritty mindset. You got to be able to do things when you don't feel like it. And I always try to get people to understand, like, oh, I hit I hurt. That they hit a little nerve in the leg there. Okay. Ooh, there we go. I did garbage squash this morning when I went to the gym. So I'm really feeling it right now. But what was it? Well, no, I was just talking about just doing your daily deposits, man. And it's like, I feel like people overcomplicate the path. They overcomplicate their goals and their journey. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have an exact blueprint. You don't even No, I still think people should track, and tracking doesn't have to be nothing huge. It's always good to track your progress, because when you're tracking your progress, man, like I said, that's gonna be your anchor. That's just gonna let you know, like, all right, cool. I'm been going hard for 2 weeks. I'm getting somewhere. You just got to stay consistent. So that's what I'm doing more so for the following weeks. Really, it's just really just trying to stay consistent. And one of the things I'm starting to do a little bit differently is replace bad habits with good ones. So, for example, let's say you like watching Netflix a lot. Netflix is your thing. You're watching Netflix for like an hour every day after work. You might need to cut that back. So instead of watching Netflix for a whole hour, you're reading a book for like 15, 20 minutes. You're planning your clothes out for the rest of the week. Maybe you gotta calculate your debt and your finances to figure out, what? I didn't realize I had to pay this off. Can I like get a plan? Let me pull up ChatGPT or something, or AI, and help me build a plan so I can accomplish these goals, so I can be consistent. So, but those are some of the things I do personally. I'm a big believer in daily deposits. You got to be in tune with whatever you're working towards every day. And it's like even with this YouTube thing, man. Like for me personally, um, it was hard to be consistent because I was allowing myself to get caught up in the instant gratification. I got caught up in, I need the numbers to hit. I need to be here. I need to hear that, and that didn't make sense. I'm waiting on the numbers. I need to accomplish this set goal and so forth. And what that did was it it did a lot of my mental. And I was focused on trying to hit a certain number, a certain goal. And when I didn't hit it, it would be discouraging. So this also goes back to your goals. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you're trying to work towards something, bro, what you have to do is, yeah, have an end goal in mind, which is good, but focus on the daily deposits. Doing the little things, man. Your daily deposits can be getting to work 15 minutes early, maybe sending that special person a text, because you want to talk to them more. It could be a variety of things. You just got to figure out what's something small that I could do, or tangible enough that I could stick to on a day-to-day basis to help me stay consistent. Excuse me. So, let's see what we got going on here. So I'm doing a little bit of multitasking right now. I hope everybody's having a good day. So I'm thinking about doing like a little it's kind of like, I don't know, I haven't fully committed to what it is yet, but it's kind of like a little docu-series. You know what I mean? Just something different, something small for y'all, really. I'm thinking about just doing some different type of live content with things. So we got going on here. Let's see here. I might need to change that. I just see which one show. Yeah, it's wild. Not exactly clutch moments. I'm hungry, man. I'm trying to figure out what I want to eat later. I got some chicken at the cribbo. I'm thinking about eating. Let's see. Nobody can see that. Meal prepping is something else, man. Meal prepping is something else. Just gotta be consistent with it because I'm trying to put on weight. I gotta eat around like 18 or something calories, and that's another thing too, man. That's something I'm working on, being disciplined with like my eating and my dieting. Because when it comes to trying to put on weight, getting bigger and stronger, you got to be in a calorie surplus. And I undermined how difficult that really is. But that's just part of the journey, man. You gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I feel like people don't do that enough. I feel like we make life a little bit harder than it should be because we're not willing to stay consistent. Do what you gotta do, man. Sure, you know what you need to do. You gotta be accountable and just do it. What is this? details. I don't get it, but okay, that works. Mhm, 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 mhm. Dun, 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 dun. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And you know something else I've been working on too, man, and just learning how to detach myself from outcomes. And what I mean by detach myself from outcomes, I'm really talking about um let's see here. That's interesting. But yeah, what I've really been working on is learn how to detach myself from outcomes. And what I mean by that is sometimes, man, you just got to get comfortable with the journey. We get so fixated on the end goal. You know, I want the money, I want the car, I want the relationship, and we miss everything that happens in the middle. And when you're focusing on the outcome so much, when I look at it from like a spiritual standpoint, like when I zoom out from a spiritual standpoint, it's kind of like this. Like the reason why you're thinking of this thing, the reason why you want and desire this thing is because you're lacking it. Just think about like if you had more money, how much more different your life would be. I mean, think about if you had the body that you want. You know, think about how your mindset would be. But the problem is you got to change the way you're thinking about it. What I mean by detaching the outcomes, you're not so busy focused on losing the weight or getting stronger. What I mean by detaching from the outcome is that when the progress is slow or it's stagnant or it slows down, you're able to keep showing up regardless because great things take time. That's probably as cliche as it sounds. I think that's probably one of the realest things I've heard is that great things take time. You know, you're never going to be able to accomplish anything in life solely focusing on the end goal. Like, yeah, you know, like for example, like Kobe. I know Kobe wants to win a championship, you know, but did you think Kobe thought about winning a championship every day? He didn't. Kobe Kobe had faith and belief that he was going to get a championship, but he didn't wake up every day and think it. He did his daily deposits, literally what I was just saying a few minutes ago. The daily things that you do on a day-to-day basis. His was getting up at 4 a.m. His is getting 2 hours in the gym in the morning, spend the rest of the day with his family, maybe an hour or two before bed to work out and hit the gym. Those two windows of time was his daily deposits. The time he had with his family, that was a daily deposit. Throughout that time, Kobe wasn't just focusing on winning a championship. He had the discipline to focus on the progress, to focus on the daily deposits. That's how life is. You embrace the beauty of life and you can accomplish anything in life a lot faster if you focus on doing the daily deposits, showing up every day, you know, going through the phases of being uncomfortable. Today wasn't perfect, but I still showed up anyways. And I feel like that's where, at least what I was, because I went through it, you know, because I had my moments where I focused on the end goal so much. Like, there have been times where my job will piss me off to a point, and I'm like, man, I wish I had some passive income or something right now. You know, that I'm going home pissed off, mad, sitting thinking about it, reminiscing over it, and all that does is put you in a state of being stagnant. It used to remind me with the YouTube videos in the past when I first started doing this. There'd be times in the past where like I'll make a YouTube video and I'm like, I need to get this up quick. I need to get this up quick. And it made the process not be enjoyable anymore because I was so focused on the end goal. I need to get X amount of views. I need to have this many subscribers. You know, it's just like being greedy with money. You know, if you win $100, if you win $400 off $100 as an example, right? You're definitely going to want to try to get that $400 again. But you got to think about the process to get there. You know, you have to watch the betting. You know what I'm saying? You had to pick and choose. I'm like, you know what? Is this a good eye? Is that a bad eye? And once you win enough times, it becomes addicting. Betting is a bad example. I apologize. Think of like the last time you went to the gym and it felt good. Think about it. The last time you went to the gym, you know, when you were consistent, when you were at your best, you know, it was a good feeling. But you would have never got there if you didn't go through those phases of being consistent and showing up. You know, that was crazy. me see. Okay, I don't know where the hell that came from, but why is it that? Oh my gosh, I'm just dropping my charger all over the place. So some of the things I'm thinking about doing this week for sure. I already went to the gym this morning, so that's good. I want to try to go to the gym about 5 days out of the week, but I got to find a way to fit it into my work schedule a little bit better. I want to do one of these lives at least once or twice a week, and it's this is kind of like a free live. I don't really have no plan behind this one. I was just being live just to go live, but the next few are going to be a little bit more of a structure, and I'm about to start doing my podcast as well too. But that's going to take a minute because I got to find. Why do I have my mic? I'm not sure. Excuse me. Oh, pardon me. A little moment there. Hello there. Welcome to the stream. What is like somebody's watching me. I'm not sponsored by this. I didn't realize I could share my screen. I didn't know I could do that. That's cool. Gotta make a little run after this, go get some gas. Let's see. I love big bars, bro. Baby, don't let this go. Oh. Oh yeah. I go Larry June. I like me some Larry June. Baby, don't let this go. Oh yeah. Oh whoa. Something else I've learned was, I don't know if this guy, can I just change the song? Good gracious. One thing I had to get better with, man, was really the importance of just being patient. My patience used to be so bad growing up. But one thing I learned about patience, man, patience tests your character. Like, especially when you're like on a grind and you're trying to accomplish like a financial goal, or accomplish like a certain milestone or something like that. Patience is so huge. There were so many times in my life where if I was just a little bit more patient, I'll be a lot further ahead than where I am now. Because the thing about patience is, it's just like, let's say you're trying to grow a tree, right? You're not going to go get a seed, put it in the ground, and pour just a cup of water, and then all of a sudden it's just going to blossom and bloom. That's not how that works. Patience works by just doing the little things on a day-to-day basis that keeps you stable. It's about being patient when things don't look clear. What is that? I just had a massive cramp in my leg just now. So, this is just one. Never heard of that before. My leg is cramping in this chair. Very uncomfortable. But I did not mean to do that. There we go. But all right, gang. I'm about to go ahead and end the stream there. Y'all stay tuned. I got a couple more on the way. Just haven't had an idea what type of content I want to make. I'm in flip flop with you in my content. I got to do better there. So shout out to everybody that came through. Shout out to the homie. The vision is real. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Stay tuned. Let's see here. Where's that button? Nope. That's hilarious. I forgot how to use this shit.